Hello and a very warm welcome to the Classic here at Silverstone for the biggest historic motoring event in the world.
For the very best lineup and widest variety of motorsport action, no matter what age you are, we have a car from your favourite era ready to excite you.
From the thrills and spills, both on and off the track, from dawn until dusk, this is a fantastic family festival.
This is an event for the best motorsport, the best entertainment, the best paddock access, and the very best of British.
From the iconic to the unique, past to the present, there is something for everyone here. Such an array of cars. And there's one thing they all have in common. They get to race at this epic 3.6-mile long track, famous in its own right.
Silverstone is crowned the home of British motorsport. The names of the drivers that have raced here are as famous as the names of the corners themselves. Now, to take you on a little trip of the track, I've asked my friend, Nick English.
Right, let's focus now.
The start-finish line is on the Hamilton Straight, renamed in 2020 in honour of Sir Lewis Hamilton's 7th Formula One World Championship win. The cars will be flat out through Abbey and Farm Curve and braking hard into Village Corner.
Down to Village. This is a tight one. Brake hard, down into third. It's very easy to go off for this one.
Then it's the loop, the long left-handed open hairpin, out through Aintree, the Wellington Straight, and taking on a few bumps before reaching Brooklands Corner.
God, do you see how close that was?
Around Luffield, Woodcut and onto Copse, one of the fastest corners in the second sector of the lap.
Yay! I overtook someone!
Then it's on to Maggotts and Beckett's.
Maggotts, Beckett's. Have a break here. Go on around.
Followed on by Chapel Curve and onto the long Hanger Straight. Carrying maximum speed, the drivers will come towards Stoke and then take Vale and Club.
God, do you hear the tyre squeal there?
Now let's see what we have coming up in today's show. First up, Silverstone was close to his heart, and the Classic pays tribute to the remarkable life and achievements of legendary Formula One team founder Sir Frank Williams, CBE.
We take a dive back into the 60s for the Adrian Flux Trophy for transatlantic pre-1966 touring cars.
We step back in time for this year's Retro Run Parade, a 3-day fun drive experience through some of Britain's stunning countryside.
We have prototype and GT race cars from 1995 to 2012 that were eligible to enter the Le Mans 24-hour or any of its feeder series in the Masters Endurance Legends.
And the need for endurance isn't only reserved for the track. From the food festival to the fun fair and daring displays to dancing the night away, it's a jam-packed weekend.
From retro racing to the cars of tomorrow, we switch it up as we look at electric vehicles with the Classic's New Switch Live.
And to end the show with a bang, we watch the Big Bangers race, the small-engine sports prototypes and GT cars for the Yokohama Trophy Masters Sports Car Legends. In November 2021, the world of motorsport sadly lost one of its greats, Sir Frank Williams, CBE, who lived a remarkable life and leaves a lasting legacy. Absolutely delighted to say that joining me now, Jamie and Jonathan Williams. Welcome, guys. Let's talk about your father. In your mind, what do you think he considered his biggest achievement?
So I think for him to come from where he came and to build the way he did, and to reach all of that success through the World Championships of constructors, drivers, the 114 victories, and to travel that path with a great deal of great people that he really admired and cherished working with.
He just loved racing, and that's really all he was in it for. It wasn't necessarily about success, was it? It was about just the thrill of being able to compete.
Absolutely. One thing that our mother admired, if not envied, was the fact that no matter how difficult things were, and we're talking the formative years of our father in Formula One, was that no matter what stresses were on the table, what difficulties were around, within a few moments, head on the pillow, he's asleep. My mother almost hated that, so actually I don't...
That is a real life skill.
Yeah.
So I bet he would have loved coming to an event like this.
It has such a grassroots feel to it, the Classic, and you know, you can just be wandering through the Parc Fermé here and there'll be a racing car just coming up behind you, coasting along. And Formula One has obviously changed a lot since Dad was starting out. And this feels a bit more like a return to what those years would have been like. So he would have adored it.
For us, it's just a great privilege, really, that sort of things like this allow those parts of Williams to still be physical and still be active, not just part of the history in a museum. I think it's great.
What memories do you think your dad would have had of this track, and what was it one of his favourites?
I think he's on record somewhere as saying, heading into a British Grand Prix or two, if it's to be us winning with the British team in a British car with a British driver, that would just about make me the happiest man on that day.
How are you going to carry on that legacy?
It's Dad's name on the car, and it will probably be Dad's name on the car in perpetuity. There will be a Williams in Formula One, as far as I can see, for as long as there will be Formula One. So that in itself is an extraordinary legacy, and it's all down to Dad.
And that says it all, you know, the passion and all the work that he put in is, you know, paid off. Yeah. Jamie Johnson, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise,
and I am sure
you.
Your dad is looking down at us now with a huge grin on his face.
Yes.
Time for the Frank Williams Memorial Trophy for the Masters Racing Legends.
Let's take a look at this grid, starting with Mark Hazel on pole position in the FW07, Jamie Constable, Steve Brook, Ken Tyrrell starting third and fourth, Steve Hartley in fifth place, and race one winner Mike Cantillon starts in sixth position. Cars up to speed and flying around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Charging through the old pit lane and the new pit lane alike in front of a mass crowd at the Classic, and led through by Mark Hazel on pole position in the Williams FW08C. A 20-minute race for the Masters Racing Legends, late 70s, early 80s, Cosworth engine Formula One cars. And they're all racing for the Frank Williams Memorial Trophy. Jamie Constable in Tyrrell 011, number 99, right behind. Then the black and gold, that is the Lotus 91 of Steve Brooks, who starts third. The top six from yesterday's race result reversed. Seventh on down as they finished. So Steve Hartley in the red and white, first of the McLarens, finished in fifth place, still in fifth behind Mike Cantillon now, who's just made up a spot away from the grid. Looks like a right front wheel problem for the Surtees. That's very disappointing. Charlie Kennedy, the Snorkel Matchbox Surtees, heading into the pit lane. And that looks like, unfortunately, an early end to their race. Mark Hazel, though, hanging on to the lead, under attack from Jamie Constable. Number 27 is the Williams. Down the inside comes the Tyrrell. Ken Tyrrell following him. Are we going to get a Tyrrell 1-2 leading the British Grand Prix at getting carried away there a little bit. Leading this race at Silverstone. Well, it's a Tyrrell 1-3 and Williams second and fourth. And I know, in fact, that's the Lotus that was in third. And through comes the Lotus, looking to take second play away from Mark Hazel. He does so. Spitfire ace Steve Brooks driving through into second place. And car number 7, that's yesterday's race winner, Mike Cantillon, in third place.
Mike Cantillon looking right, looking left. Will Steve Brooks give him room? Yes, he does.
He does indeed, yeah.
Steve Brooks decides better to let him through than hold him up. So up into second place goes Mike Cantillon. What a stunning 2 laps from him.
Yeah, great start from Mike Cantillon. Great start as well from Jamie Constable. Yes, he was on the front row of the grid, but he's just creeping away there. There is Ken Tyrrell battling with number 27, Mark Hazel, the second of the green Tyrrells. Mark Hazel now coming under attack. Down the inside on one side comes an FW07. Around the back comes the MP41B. That's the second of the McLaren's, Mark Higson. And Christoph Dansenborg on the outside. Tyrrell getting properly beaten up there. Mike Cantillon running fastest. Now Cantillon leads, Constable in second place and Steve Brooks in third.
Steve Brooks there in the Lotus 91, the first carbon composite car produced by Lotus. Mark Hazel, car number 27 now, he was up the front, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What's happened to him?
Yeah, started on pole, finished 6th yesterday, and he's already dropped out of the top 6 down to 7th place. Steve Brooks dropping back to 4th place in the JPS Lotus. Meanwhile, the battle continues and the McLaren has the upper hand. Hartley goes ahead of Dansenborg. And Christoph Dansenborg at the tail of the field, having been passed by Steve Hartley, had another problem. A big looping moment. Also just asking a little bit more than the car had.
Trouble for Theodore Carr, unfortunately.
Looks like that's not going to be cheap. Oh, and a looping spin for Steve Hartley. So what is it about 5th and 6th? Hartley passed Dansenborg, who spun. Now Hartley himself has spun. Michael Fitzgerald losing that spot to the Theodore. Phil Hall goes back past him, and it may be a little bit more than a struggle under braking. I wonder if he's lost gears. Cosworth DFEs tend to be pretty reliable pieces of kit. Williams out on its own. Car number 7. Tyrrell's giving chase. 99, Jamie Constable. Behind him, 23, Ken Tyrrell. Steve Brooks in the Lotus in 4th. What's the gap between them? Yeah, Brooks is very close indeed for 3rd place. We might have a last lap lunge from Steve Brooks if he can summon up a bit of something special.
Steve Brooks had a spin.
Yeah, just as I was looking up the timing screen, just overcooked it there. And so Ken Tyrrell will be breathing a sigh of relief in 3rd place. For Mike Cantillon, well, he's made the very best of it again. Winner of yesterday's race, he wins again in the Frank Williams Memorial Trophy. Second for Jamie Constable, who finished in 5th yesterday, and 3rd place for Ken Tyrrell. What a place to play with these fabulous toys. Let's take a look at the results of the Frank Williams Memorial Trophy Race 2. Mike Cantillon, the winner on Saturday, winning on Sunday. Ken Tyrrell 3rd, as he was on Sunday, but Jamie Constable in 5th place on Saturday's race makes it up into 2nd. Steve Brooks spun away the opportunity on the last lap to challenge for a podium finish. Formula One cars on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. It just fits, doesn't it?
Now join us after the break, where we'll be meeting Alex Brundle and the restoration of his 1965 Mustang. And on the track, there's some Le Mans style racing from the Masters Endurance legends, plus loads more from this epic family show.
Hello and welcome to the Classic here at Silverstone, where nostalgia takes over and we soak up the historic motorsport. It's also the opportunity to celebrate milestones, and this year it's 50 years of BMW M. And if we look even further back to the 1960s, it was when America was rolling out the very first Ford Mustang. And here this weekend at Silverstone, we have them in abundance.
So that's the really cool thing about this event. It's unparalleled access. You can walk in the paddock, you can get up close and personal like this AC Cobra. But there's one car that catches my attention because I own a 65 Mustang, and so do you.
And here's one without any of the interior in it.
I know, right, so tell me a bit about the car. What's the history?
Well, I realised about halfway through last year that I've done a little bit of World Endurance Championship stuff. I've never put a spanner on a car I've raced. This is really point A, isn't it, for classic car racing? 289 engine, V8, Ford Mustang.
Can I?
Oh, yeah, of course. So the car was just a shell, a complete shell when I bought it, and then we sourced every single other part. The car had been painted, but all of the running gear, everything that's set up for racing, we had to source. So I really have an appreciation now of the pain, the tears.
Oh, Matt, I'm not sure you do. You drivers never appreciate the amount of effort us mechanics go to. I drive a car that I've restored myself differently than a car I've been handed.
The first few laps I did in this car were so tentative. There's something about winding the rear suspension on to a set of leaf springs that really shows you what you're dealing with.
There's one thing I have noticed though, because obviously it's a very stripped out race car and you try to save weight, but you have put a bit of attention into chrome bumpers.
Chrome bumpers are required by regulation. So there's a big book. The cars must be exactly as they race in periods. There's no cheating in terms of weight.
Oh man, I'm thinking a sort of lightweight carbon bumper strip as much, because Mustang's a heavy car.
It is a heavy car, but they run in racing conditions around 1,200 kilos. Can you imagine getting your machine down to 1,200?
Fancy your chances?
I really do.
Oh, come on.
Chances.
Oh, you do?
I know I do.
Oh gosh, most racing drivers are a little bit more humble.
No. For a podium, perhaps.
It's been a real pleasure. The car is absolutely a triumph. It looks sensational, and hopefully we'll see you on the podium later. Now, I'm a restorer. I know what effort it takes to make a car look this good, but of course it has to perform on the track as well. And that's where it's going. It's going to get tested, and then it's going to go into the Adrian Flux Trophy for transatlantic pre-1966 touring cars. And you know what? Looking at it, probably stands a chance.
Here's how they line up with the Mustang on pole position. The Thorpe and Quaife car just ahead of the Mustang of John Davidson. Steve Soper and Henry Mann ahead of the Lotus Cortina, the first of the twin-cam powered cars. The Transatlantic Challenge for pre-66 touring cars for the Adrian Flux Trophy gets underway here at Silverstone. Thundering Ford V8s very much to the fore, being chased by the wailing twin-cam Cortinas and the howling Minis. The sound of mighty muscle, though, leads the field around the Silverstone Grand Prix circus as we get our 45-minute race underway.
And it's James Thorpe who's taken the early lead in the dark blue with the white striped Mustang. There are two Mustangs, three Mustangs and a Falcon behind him, and then another couple of Mustangs, two of them in very similar colours, the Alan Mann colours, red and gold roof. But the rest of the field streaming through. What a sight that is. As we look at, sadly, one of our Minis. That's a shame.
Chris Morgan failing to proceed.
The James Thorpe car that leads the number 66. Then it's the light blue car of Steve Soper, who's sharing with Henry Mann in the number 7 Mustang, the light blue coloured car. Steve Soper, of course, well known to touring car fans, known as Soperman.
Julian Thomas goes through in the Falcon into second place on the run from Cox to Maggots. And Steve Soper, we saw that great shot as looking back down the straight as they came out of Luffield. Soper's car on a big handful of opposite lock, everything else drifting out 4 square. So that's Mike Whittaker Jr.
as he spins.
Up a ladder and down a snake in rapid succession with the same throw of the dice.
Great entertainment here at Silverstone Circuit, and it's the number 170 car that's a little bit late on the brakes, and one of the cheeky Minis nips through.
Two of the cheeky Minis nip through, 1300cc in the Mini and 1600cc in the Lotus Cortinas, and there you go, that's the difference. But the Minis maintain a much higher corner speed. Now, the flame-spitting yellow and black car of Andy Priaulx has made its way through into 4th place, and Andy Priaulx will be soon heading into the pit lane.
I would suggest that's Craig Davis.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, number 9, Craig Davis. So he's had a big moment there. He's driving solo. He was in 3rd place.
So that is Tom Bell and Joe Ferguson's car, 65 Mini Cooper S.
We are in the pit window now.
And down the pit lane comes the 66 car, Thorpe and Quaife in from the lead. And Phil Quaife will be ready to take over from James Thorpe. Let's hope. Yes, there he is. No super fast Le Mans style running around, hoiking out of seats and mechanics hauling drivers out. There is Andy Priaulx, the Guernsey colours on his helmet. He's a proud donkey. What happens here? Oh, that's a rare one. Normally with a Mini, if you keep your foot planted, the front drags you around. That was Alfie Woodrow having taken the car over.
That's the 101 Mini driver. And here's the lead battle now.
And will it be the Mustang or the Falcon? Callum Lockie sends it deep down the inside. He is always very good under braking, and he makes it through. Does he keep it in front? He does. A change of lead, and that's the first change of lead other than during the pit stops in the race. Henry Mann struggling to hold on in that pale blue car. The yellow Mustang's gone by, the red and gold Mustang's gone by. The chance for Phil Keane in the grey car to come through. Does he do so? Trying to squeeze through in the 63 car. He does get through, and he's right on the inside of the other 63 with the extra one added too. So Phil Keane gets 2 in 2 corners, and Phil Keane's charge now sees him up in 4th place.
So Phil Keane's target is the yellow Mustang, but Callum Lockie's target is the checkered flag, because there are 16 seconds to go.
Lots of tyre smoke coming off the yellow and black Bumblebee Mustang. Hoiks it round the corner. Alex Taylor doing his very best to hold off Phil Keane. If he does so, it will be a mighty defence. Phil Keane is very quick in anything, stroke everything. Seen him win many races. He slots up the inside. You know, that is the pro racer's knowledge. That is the aggression. I'm going halfway over the curbs. I'm coming through. And right behind is the 163 car as well. So that is Phil Davison, the red and gold, going around the outside of the yellow and black car. So Phil Keane up to 3rd, side by side for 4th place. Big oversteering moment for Alex Taylor in the yellow and black car, but he hangs on. Callum Lockie brings a flamboyant end to the race, to the meeting, to the classic here at Silverstone in the Ford Falcon. He is going to take victory, leading a huge V8 engined armada of cars to the line. It is victory for the Falcon. It beats the Mustang hordes. Callum Lockie takes the checker. Just behind him in 2nd place, car that started on pole position with James Thorpe. Phil Quaife in 2nd spot. Phil Keane, what a great livery that car is. He takes 3rd, an absolute cracker. Julian Thomas and Callum Lockie coming out on top of an enormous contingent of Ford V8 powered cars. They win in the Falcon with a sea of Mustangs behind them. More Ford Blue Ovals in the top 10. The Jewel and Clucas Lotus Cortina coming ahead of Neil Brown, Richard Dutton in their car. And the Adrian Flux Trophy for the Transatlantic Pre-66 cars really did not disappoint in any way, shape or form.
Rudiger Friedrichs got away superbly at the start of the BRDC 500 to lead as Michael Birch looped his Talbot into a spin. Friedrichs, driving the Alvis Firefly Special solo, led to the midway point when Gregor Fiskin handed over the number 11 Fraser Nash to his driving partner Patrick Blakeney-Edwards. As Friedrichs tried in vain to chase them down, Blakeney-Edwards headed to the checkered flag to win the 40-minute encounter for the pre-war sports cars. Jaguar E-Types had dominated qualifying for the historic Tourist Trophy, and they set out to dominate the race in similar form. James Cottingham, Harvey Stanley's white car out front, as Cobra rivals struggled to match their pace. Not everybody had a handle on the E-Type though. The closeness of the racing belied the fact that these cars are now 60 plus years old. The Huffaker E-Type, one of the first sold to the USA, won in the hands of James Cottingham and Harvey Stanley.
Now, there's a fantastic event that complements the classic Silverstone. It's been going on for around 30 years and it's called the Retro Run. What it is a group of over 100 classic car owners that drive their cars on the public roads to arrive at the event. Now, you've got a mixed and eclectic group of classic cars. For example, this obscure Bombard next to a Porsche. A classic Mini, obviously someone needs to turn up in a Mini, even a Ferrari. But there's one car that stands out for me, and it's this. Now, this is the oldest car in this year's event. It's a 1923 Bentley. It's one of the original TT cars, and actually the owners were just telling me that they take this car on road rallies just like this all the time. In fact, they've driven the car to Monaco recently and came home via the Pyrenees. It's done around 7,000 miles this year, and they've added this one onto the mileage book today. It's pretty cool. Now, it's not just the parades that are popular here. Many car clubs use this event to celebrate important milestones. For example, this year happens to be the 60th anniversary of the epic AC Cobra. But it's also the 60th anniversary of this, one of my favourite British sports cars, the Lotus Elan. Now, Lotus is a brand that's really important and close to my heart because I've recently just launched the last ever petrol-powered Lotus in history with my partner Jensen Button. And it's actually sitting here at the Silverstone Classic, it makes me realise how important this move is to electric vehicles. As Lotus have finally done away with petrol, these classic Lotus become more important to save than ever. Now over to some endurance racing. If you enjoy some endurance racing, here are the highlights of the Masters Endurance Trophy.
Now they start how they finish race one with one notable exception. Steve Tandy, who was first to the checkered flag in his Peugeot, penalised for passing under yellows. So Jamie Constable's Pescarolo starts on pole, having ended up with victory ahead of Mike Lyons in the Lola and Keith Freezer in his ex-Mansell's Zytek in fourth place. Lights about to change for the start of the second Masters endurance race of the weekend at the Classic at Silverstone. Away we go. Jamie Constable leads the field. Steve Tandy in the Peugeot into second place. Mike Lyons comes through into third with his Lola. And that ex-IMSA factory Lola, a Mazda livery car. Oh, Jamie Constable, huge lockup, still cold tyres and cold brakes on that open Pescarolo. And right behind him now, Steve Tandy. Now, Tandy in the Peugeot diesel in the first race took a couple of laps to get really wound up to speed to make sure he had the grip in the tyres. Trouble for another of the Lolas. That's car number 65.
Yes, the B1260, an early spin, maybe a cold tyre moment. Steve Tandy in second place in the Peugeot. There they are. And Michael Lyons has come through into second place alongside Tandy, and he gets through on the run into Brooklands corner. So Michael Lyons takes second place, but Steve Tandy's trying to get it back again.
Tandy struggling perhaps on some of the tighter stuff.
Problems is it for the Matt Wrigley car in the pit lane?
So they have got a bit of a problem. So here is our GT lead battle. Car number 14 is the Stocco and McDonald Ferrari 458 GT3. Now that is still Ferrari's current frontline GT3 spec car. So that leads the red and white Dodge Viper with the Aston Martin in third place. So that is your top three in the GT category.
Michael Lyons, I'm sorry to say, will have an extra 15 seconds to serve in the pits, and neither of the cars around him will. So in a way that's a bit of a shame, because this is a great battle which will be broken up by the pit stops.
It really is. He's all over the back of Jamie Constable. You saw those headlights flashing. Of all the things you have to do on a new car, they've got the automatic headlight flash working as well. There it goes. Look, you get a 5-second burst of strobing headlights to get cars out of the way. Contact with the Freisinger Motorsport Porsche. And that is with the Felbermeyer Porsche, right rear tyre and wheel rim broken, and that probably is going to mean damage to the P car that hit him as well. There has been a lead change, and that is Mike Lyons, who now leads the race from Jamie Constable.
And Steve Tandy, the other driver involved in this battle, has gone into the pits for his mandatory pit stop.
Yeah. Problems, that is Jamie Constable. It is a puncture. The tyre has separated from the rim, and that rear puncture has cost him any hope of victory. And that was a lap ago, just getting caught out, trying to get through on the inside of that Porsche, the Felbermeyer liveried Proton Porsche. Car number 10 has the fastest lap of the race, 26 on the grid. And so at the moment he has the fastest race lap.
And we're in that phase now where the pit stops are happening, so it's difficult to know exactly where cars are, but we do know that Michael Lyons is still leading.
As away crunches Jamie Constable. Not going to replicate, I'm afraid, his good result in the Tyrrell in the Formula 1 race.
Just going back to Tim De Silva, his fastest lap yesterday was a 1:46.1, so
wow,
he can go even faster if he really wants to.
He was a second quicker yesterday. Well, into the pits he comes. There is the number 7 car, that's also in the pit lane, so the top two coming in together. Michael Lyons, safety car is out. Now then, how will this affect the race?
And the reason it's seems so long that Michael's sitting there is because of that extra 15 seconds that he's got to serve for being an elite plus driver. Tim De Silva is right behind Michael Lyons. So that suggests that Lyons, even with his penalty, had made up enough time on the quickest car on the circuit, Tim De Silva.
Of course, with the safety car out, it's not a red flag, so the clock continues to count down to 0. This 30-minute race is going to feature considerably fewer than 30 racing minutes.
And the lights are out, so we're going to have one more racing lap before the time runs out.
Michael Lyons knows that too, needed to get a good exit, but this is effectively an LMP2 car being chased by an LMP1 car. Here comes Tim De Silva. Can he go the long way around the outside? He hasn't got the grip, has he? Michael Lyons is right there. De Silva has the attacking mode fully engaged, but there's not enough room. Michael Lyons into club corner. He drifts out wide, and here comes Tim De Silva. Incredible. He's going to take it on the last lap, on the last corner of the race. Michael Lyons just could not deal with the pickup of that engine in the Pescarolo.
Tim De Silva running out very wide in the final corner, and the stewards are deciding that that in fact was too wide, and he only claimed victory because of that. So he will pick up a penalty, dropping back into second place, and Michael Lyons in that newly rebuilt Lola will claim victory here at Silverstone. What a race, what a finish. The second race for the Pre-66 Grand Prix cars on Sunday afternoon saw runner-up on day one Michael Gans sweep into the lead in his 1964 white Cooper. The 17 car was quickly caught by poleman and race one winner Will Nuttall. The rear-engine cars were in the ascendancy as they had been in period. The front-engine leader Tony Wood suffered a high-speed suspension failure in the Tech-Mech Maserati, as Will Nuttall, Michael Gans and Rudiger Friedrichs completed an all-Cooper podium. The battle between front and rear engines continues to this day in GT racing, as the GT4 Silverstone Challenge showed, with honours even. Big accident for David Henry's McLaren would bring out the safety car, but the early leader Freddie Tomlinson kept his nerve as Seb Hopkins in the black and orange Porsche pressured him all the way. They ended up with a win and a second place apiece. Tomlinson victorious on the Sunday.
Drawing huge crowds to the Cotswolds is the Diddley Squat Farm Shop. It was founded in 2020 by TV personality Jeremy Clarkson. And for the first time ever, it has a pop-up shop here at the Silverstone Classic, and it's selling some cool stuff like this. Bee juice. Bee juice. That's just honey, right?
It's quite nice to reacquaint myself with the world of cars, if I'm honest.
Good, yeah, welcome back. The Classic is just as much about refueling ourselves as it is the cars. So I'm delighted to say that joining me now is Candice Brown, the 2016 Great British Bake Off winner. Congratulations. What's it like being here at the Classic for the first time?
It's great, and it's just wonderful. There's really something for everyone. It's such a nice sort of calm, lovely vibe. That's the only word to really describe it. But walking around and just walking past, seeing that it said about Hamilton's 7 cars all in the same place for the first time ever.
I know, it's
That's
amazing,
incredible.
isn't it? There is just so much here for everything, from auctions to fun fair ride.
It's a good fun event, isn't it?
Yeah, have you been on the Ferris wheel? I see you as a Ferris wheel kind of guy.
Yes. No, I haven't.
Face painting?
No, I haven't done that either.
Now join us after the break as we swap wheels for feet for the Alzheimer's UK Fun Run Takes to the Track. We then join Nikki at the Switch Live, and then we're back on track with sports cars and period Group 4 cars as they battle it out in an endurance race for the Yokohama Trophy.
Hello and welcome back to the Classic here at Silverstone. Now, the track isn't there to be enjoyed just by the high-octane historic race cars. No, it is there for anyone who is willing to stretch their legs and give it a go in the fun run. 5 kilometres around the Silverstone circuit to raise money for Alzheimer's Research UK. And I'm delighted to say that joining me now is Beth. Tell us more about the fun run and what's it all in aid of?
The fun run is in aid of Alzheimer's Research UK, and they're the charity that the Classic has partnered with. And it's a really important cause because at the minute, if someone gets diagnosed with Alzheimer's, there's no cure, there's no treatment that is available to them, and it's really important to just get all that money into the charity and find something that can help people who are living with the disease.
Absolutely. And how did you end up getting involved?
My dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at the age of 36,
Wow.
So a really young age. I think a lot of people think it's just something that old people naturally develop, but I'm keen to kind of change that stigma and get that message out there that anyone can be a victim of this really cruel disease. And he died when he was 41, so I was only 11, and quite quickly found Alzheimer's Research UK because I think it's just so important that no one has to live the same story that I did.
So everyone's doing the fun run.
Yeah.
How do you think they're going to do?
I think they're going to be great.
Thank you, and good luck to all the runners.
Now here at the Classic, we're into retro racing. We love watching the cars of the past on track. But as the world moves away from fossil fuels, the future of cars is electrifying. Now Nikki headed over to the new Switch Live powered by My Energy feature for an insight into the future of electric vehicles.
Now 2030 sees big changes coming to the automotive world, probably the biggest since inception, and that of course is the ban of the sale of new petrol and diesel cars. So here at the Classic, Switch Live is a showcase of all the new electric cars that are on offer, so everyone here can get up close and personal and even take them for a test drive.
I think the people that typically come to Silverstone Classic are actually passionate about cars. You can get passionate about new technology as you can old technology, and I think where the industry needs to find solutions is number one, how you make modern day electric cars into future classics, which means I think utilising the design flexibility that an electric car gives you to make beautiful cars, not just functional cars.
Everyone's slowly switching to electric. Is that the long-term future?
For passenger cars, unequivocally yes, it is the future. Electric doesn't solve every problem. For your family cars, it's the perfect solution. But if, for example, you're taking very long journeys, or if you're a heavy goods vehicle, maybe if you're a sports car, certainly if you're in aerospace, then you have to find something other than electric. And so there's some interesting technologies, one around hot hydrogen, which is the combustion of hydrogen. So you use an internal combustion engine, but you fire it with hydrogen, and of course, what results is water.
Yeah.
There is the fuel cell, it's quite expensive, but it might be a solution for heavy goods vehicles down the line. And I've spoken about e-fuels or synthetic fuels. They will be mandatory for aircraft, but could also be used to fire supercars and classic cars.
Yeah.
The challenge that I've taken on now with my new company, which is Switch, which is buses and vans, is about creating vehicles that are net zero carbon, so that you know that when you get onto one of our buses, you're not creating a carbon footprint, and that's the future.
Yeah, and that is the key, isn't it? Well, Annie, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and thank you for coming and joining us at the Classic. Now it is time to head back to the racetrack for some endurance-style racing with the sports cars in the Yokohama Trophy.
The Yokohama Trophy for Sports Cars Legends. We are ready to turn the lights off as we get underway for the first lap of 50 minutes of racing. These cars all raced in period in the very late 1960s, early 1970s. Will it be Lola from Huntingdon, the work of Alex Brundle, that comes out on top, or will it be the Chevrons, the designs of the late Derek Bennett, who have the advantage? It is Tom Bradshaw from pole position in the red open Chevron B19 with a white band up the nose, ahead of Diogo Ferral in the red and white Lola.
We've already got a car stopped, which is one of the Ford GT40s.
Yeah, that's a Frederick Wakeman, the Mike Grant Peterkin car.
It's got going again, so that was maybe a quick spin.
And Brundle uses the grunt of the V8 behind him to power past that yellow Lola, so moves up to third place ahead of Jonathan Mitchell. Now, of course, they now move into the Beckett's S's, left through Maggots and sweeping into the Beckett's S's, and this is where the lighter, smaller capacity cars will really make their advantage. But while his tyres are fresh, Brundle needs to attack. He needs to attack hard. The car is bigger, it's heavier, it rolls more, it'll be harder on its tyres. And here comes Brundle. He's got his foot well in, giving it plenty of welly down the straight, out of Brooklands, out of Luffield, and through he goes into Copse Corner.
Already Dean Forward is closing in on the 108 Nick Sleep car, and that will take him up to where? About,
ninth place.
Ninth place, well inside the top
8th place 10. In fact, he's already into 9th place, so yeah, he got by 2 cars on the last lap to go from 11th to 9th. Dives through the inside, didn't catch Nick Sleep napping. There's car number 71 firmly into the wall, Jonathan Mitchell. I'm afraid that Chevron, he's driving it on his own, it's not going to make it to the pit stops.
We've just seen the end of the pit stop for Alex Brundle.
Now
a Chevron B8 pulling off.
Is that oh, that's Stephen Nuttall's car.
And we've got a safety car out, Martin, which may be for this incident, and leader into the pits as well, Tom Bradshaw.
And that, unfortunately, may mean real trouble for Alex Brundle. It rather depends where he catches the safety car, and also then where in the queue they end up. And Alex Brundle is stuck in that queue. Bradshaw then will make up more ground. There is the safety car. The safety car lights are off right now. Safety car will come in this lap. So Tom Bradshaw does not get the benefit of a wave around. Gary Culver leads, but has not pitted. 19 minutes to go. So the pit window is shut. So Gary Culver and his team have completely made a mess of this. Well, 95 has gone into the pit, but all too little too late. Pit window closed. There will be a penalty as we go back to green flag racing. There is your race leader. He's got a few slower machines between him and Alex Brundle, but you're absolutely right, Alistair. Actually, I was saying this could all be doom and gloom for Alex Brundle, but the gap was much smaller. He goes through the gravel, so too did Martin Stretton around Luffield. Just too much machinery in the way. Still 4 or 5 cars to pass. He'll gobble up a B8. There's a T70 in front of him. He'll dispose of that in fairly short order, but the gap to the leader from Brundle was 3 seconds, whereas before the pit stops it was around a dozen.
That's Simon Hadfield.
Wow, hang on, Michael Gans has dropped way down the order as well.
Simon Hadfield's just come through into 3rd place, getting past Gonzalo Gomez. Simon Hadfield, another of those historic drivers who prepares, used to be a Formula 1 mechanic, and very, very quick indeed. But the Portuguese driver also quick as well.
Fantastic stuff. Simon Hadfield in the orange and black number 81 Lola T70, and back past him comes Gonzalo Gomez in that really distinctive sort of dark blue blackish coloured car with the red tabs all the way down the wings, car 119. And again the Lola down the inside, grinding the nose on the ground as it dives under braking. No anti-dive or anti-squat on that car, that's for sure. Brundle is smoking heavily for the first time.
He's trying to keep it going. He's obviously looking in the mirrors to check the smoke. He's also checking the dials. He just needs to coax the car to the finish, because he really does want to finish in 2nd place if he can.
No, he absolutely does, and he wants to do the best for the car's owner as well. Finally, though, he's getting a little bit more of a warning. Now, again, I would be surprised if the car's majorly damaged, but unfortunately, with just 90 seconds on the clock, 1 more lap remaining, he has felt the need to bring the car into the pit lane, and that leaves Tom Bradshaw. Oh, and a big wobble, and he's looking down in the cockpit. No!
I think he's got a puncture, front left puncture for Tom Bradshaw.
Not with 30 seconds to go. Can he still win it? Well, Alex Brundle can't. The car is parked. Brundle is out there on the left-hand side. Unbelievable drama. Bradshaw's going to win this on a flat tyre.
Shades of Lewis Hamilton.
Victory with a flat tyre for Tom Bradshaw. What a dramatic end to this race. The Yokohama Trophy for Master Sports Car Legends goes to pole sitter Tom Bradshaw. Gonzalo Gomez takes second from Simon Hadfield. Oh boy, you couldn't write this stuff.
Now, sadly, that is the end of the programme, but don't worry, we're only halfway there. We have another jam-packed show coming your way soon.
We do, and a world first. For the first time ever, we have all 7 of Lewis Hamilton's championship-winning cars together under one roof.
Yeah, but it gets more exciting than that.
Ooh,
We've got
wow.
the Bond cars from the James Bond movie No Time to Die. Daniel Craig's DB5 stunt car is here on display.
Love it. I'm going to channel my inner Bond girl. No, I'm not. I'm going to channel my inner James Bond, even better. Well, anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We have more fun, more entertainment, more racing here at the Classic next time.
I'm going to get a tuxedo.
Hey,
Yes.